Good morning. Let us move to the session 16, where we will be discussing about transaction exposure management. Last two sessions we have discussed different aspect of the transaction approach, transaction exposure, and we have also discussed how to assess the transaction exposure. Now, once you assess or quantify transaction exposure, next question will be how you can observe this exposure through different management tools. Here one of the management tools is forward rate agreement, what is called forward rate contract or forward contract. Here we will be discussing session 16 how you can use forward contract in managing the transaction exposure, and we will identify the different approaches for forward contract, how forward contract agreement take place between two party, how the forward rates are determined. Then we will also discuss through examples in some practical side of the forward contract, how we can use this forward contract for transaction exposure management. We will also identify the difficulties of forward contract, or what are the disadvantages are there in forward contract, and what are the other tools are available or products are available beyond forward contract for management of transaction exposure. Let us move to transaction exposure. What is the actual meaning of forward contract? As we discussed in earlier session, transaction exposure refers to change in the home currency value of an item which foreign currency value is contractually fixed. Here the party or the exporter importer, whenever they export, they get foreign currency. That foreign currency in the form of US dollar or pound sterling or euro or Japanese yen. However, when they convert into domestic currency, the value of the domestic currency against the pound sterling, against the foreign currency fluctuate, and this fluctuation create transaction exposure. Similarly, when a importer wanted to import something from foreign country, it needs to pay in foreign currency. By surrendering the home currency, he purchased foreign currency. But question is here, the import may be due after some time. So, in between there may be appreciation or depreciation of home currency against the foreign currency, and this appreciation depreciation create transaction exposure. And this contractually fixed foreign currency either payment or receivables, when they convert into home currency, the fluctuation of home currency against the foreign currency create transaction exposure. As we discussed earlier session, the liberalization of foreign exchange market, companies are permitted to hedge their anticipated exposure against any of the foreign currency. In India also, after the liberalization, exporter importer are permitted to hedge their foreign currency exposure through by purchasing foreign currency hedging product. The one of such product is what is called forward contract. Another such products are like forward futures market, options market, and also negotiation side. Forward quotes, forward market, one such kind of hedging product available in our market, in other country also, what is called forward contract. Forward contract, authorized dealer in foreign currency market, they provide forward contract, and forward quotes or forward quotation, what is called the buying and selling of forward foreign currency beyond spot date. Spot date is beyond spot date, means 2 days after the spot date. So, all transactions are forward transaction. In India, we are getting foreign currency forward contract from 2 days onward till 6 months, even 9 months also. Forward quote are available in our market for beyond 2 days to 6 to 9 months. Currency future market has been operating in many countries. Another such product is currency futures market. Currency futures market is also there, which provide forward rate or currency future rate, and that also possibilities are there. Transaction exposure or the exporter importer having transaction exposure can buy foreign currency futures and option to hedge their fluctuation of home currency. In this session, we will be discussing about the forward contract agreement, and session 17 will be there on futures side, and these two products primarily available in market for hedging of transaction exposure. The question is here, what actually, how we can define the transaction exposure by through the corporate angles. Corporate, practically they are exposed to foreign currency market because of their international transaction. The transaction may be in the form of export, in the form of import, in the form of payments of foreign currency for borrowing and lending side. Their exposures are not confined to one currency or one country. They have multiple exposures in multiple country and multiple currency, and these currencies are, and also the maturity of each currency are different dates are there for different currency, and whenever they are exporting importing the multiple currency create a different kind of transaction exposure who needs to be addressed. And in this context, if you see this example, a typical MNC balance sheet generally has several contractual exposure in various currency and maturing in different dates. So, each currency there is a separate maturity date, each currency have a separate amounts, and also each currency might be having asset side, might be having a liability side, or each currency having a payments, each currency might be having a receivables, and the receivables and payments in different currency have different maturity profile, and this create a complex management of foreign currency for transaction exposure side. And if you see this example here, receivables and payables are given to you, the value of the receivable payables and maturity dates are given to you. If you see the US dollar payables, US dollar payable is 90,000 and the maturity date is 40 days. Just 40 days, the particular MNC will need to pay $90,000. Similarly, if you see euro receivables, euro currency receivable, the MNC will be receiving euro currency 25,000 just after 60 days. Similarly, US dollar receivable $11,000 and after 40 days the MNC will be receiving US dollar in 11,000. Similarly, US interest payable, the MNC might have taken some kind of borrowing from US market, needs to pay interest on that, the interest will be paid in US dollar. So, in US dollar interest payable due after 40 days is 9,000. Similarly, if you see euro loans payable, the loan amount might have taken by the MNC in euro currency and need to pay euro loan payable 80,000 after 60 days. Similarly, US dollar export receivable, the MNC might have exported to US and in the form he is getting US dollar something around 87,500 after 40 days. Just after 40 days, the due amount will be there. Then similarly, euro export receivable, here the MNC is receiving euro because he might have exported to euro area and he is receiving 70,000 euro after 60 days. In this context, what you have understood here, the MNC have a receivables and payables in different currency, also having a different maturity profile. So, while assessing the transaction exposure, we need to identify the receivables and payables on different currency basis and different maturity profile. And in this process, we are bucketing the receivables and payable currency wise and maturity wise. Okay. In this process, we will be in a position to identify currency wise receivables and payables and currency wise deficit and surplus. So, that in the event of deficit, we have to arrange the payments, the MNCs need to arrange foreign currency, and in the events of surplus, the MNC need to deploy the surplus in the actual market. So, what we will do it? We have to identify net exposure in US dollar and net exposure in euro. So, if you see the earlier example, the maturity profiles are either 40 days or 60 days. So, you can classify currency wise 60 days maturity and 40 days maturity. So, same thing I have done it here. So, net exposure in US dollar after 40 days. So, here if you see the payable side 99,000. What is the payables here? The net exposure, if you see if you divide this example in a currency wise side, we have after 40 days US dollar exposure with after 40 days. So, what is that? Payable side, payable mean US dollar payable, US dollar payables, identify payable which are due on 40 days. If you see here the payables here 40 days payable, here first payable is $90,000 which matured on $90,000 payable after 40 days. Similarly, euro dollar US dollar interest payable $9,000 after 40 days, $9,000 after 40 days. Similarly, no other payables are there. So, total payables will be in euro in US dollar it 99,000. So, similarly, you have to go to US dollar receivables. US dollar receivable, if you see the example, the US dollar receivables are there, that is 11,000 US dollar receivable, 11,000 is here, the 11,000 after 40 days. Similarly, US dollar export receivable 87,500, US dollar export receivable 87,500. So, if you see together, there is no other receivables in US dollar. So, total receivable will be this is US dollar 98,500. So, if you deduct this net exposure will come over here, net exposure in US dollar. So, net exposure is US dollar, there is a minus exposure of 500, minus exposure of 500. What does it mean? It means that the MNC is receiving US dollar 98,500 after 40 days, MNC is paying in US dollar 99,000 after 40 days. So, there is a deficit of 500 US dollar that MNC need to arrange, which payment may be due on 40th day. So, there is a requirement of arranging 500 US dollar. Similarly, if you do the same thing for euro side, you net, so euro exposure in 60 days. So, what you have to do that? Here also same thing you have to do that, euro exposure side. Euro exposure is here. If you see the euro payable side, euro payable side, first you have to identify euro payable. Euro payable will be, you see the euro euro loan payable $80,000, euro loan payable $80,000, 18,000 euro. Similarly, any other euro payables are there? So, US dollar, euro receivable, euro loan payable, euro nothing. So, entire amount is exposure is 80,000 euro paid due on 60th date. Similarly, euro receivables, euro receivables are there, euro receivables are there. How much? If you see euro receivable, here you see euro receivable 25,000 after 60 days, 25,000 after 60 days. Anything more? Euro export receivable 70,000, euro export receivable after 70,000 after 60 days. So, total is 101 95,000. So, total amount is coming, euro receivable is 95,000, euro payable is 80,000. So, net exposure, that is net exposure in euro after 60 days will be positive how much? 15,000, because it is positive. Your need, the MNC need to pay after 60 days euro amount 80,000, MNC is getting euro, receivable euros are there 95,000. So, positive 15,000 euro will be received by the MNC on 60th day. So, here the MNC need to deploy this euro, because the surplus euro is available to him. He have to so he deploy the euro, because or here in the US dollar side MNC a deficit of $500, to arrange the dollar. So, transaction exposure in dollar term is negative $500, to arrange. So, he have to go to a forward contract for arranging this $500 which is supposed to be repaid on 40th day. Similarly, on the euro side, the surplus receivables of euro is $15,000, 15,000 euro. So, so when the received surplus 15,000 euro, they need to convert into Indian rupee. So, domestic currency. So, that time Indian rupee and euro might be having a fluctuation, some kind of volatility in euro side or dollar or in case of rupee side. So, he may have a exposure of $50,000, 15,000 euro. He need to correct this exposure by either going for a forward contract for to hedge this 15,000 euro, or going for a future side to hedge this 15,000 euro. In this context, since we are discussing about forward contract, the MNC need to purchase 15,000 sale contract, because he have a surplus euro, he need to sell the euro in actual market, so that the value of the euro remain constant in terms of rupee, because there will may be a fluctuation of in rupee and euro, which may be possible after 40th day, or there is a risk for the MNC side. So, in this context we understood that MNCs generally have exposure in different currency and different maturity profile. So, they have to classify the currency wise payables and receivable, and also in the form of maturity profile, they have to classify the payable and receivable. In the event of any kind of foreign currency net exposure is positive, they have to deploy the exposure. Net exposure is negative, they have to arrange the exposure, and both sides the MNC need to go for a hedging of this exposure, because there may be some fluctuation of domestic currency against the foreign currency. And in this context, the forward contract can be used as a tool for management of foreign currency exposure. So, the forward, what is actually forward market transaction exposure? How we can use the forward contract for transaction exposure? To understand this, let us now discuss about forward contract. Forward transaction generally, as we discussed earlier session, any transaction in foreign currency beyond the 2 days after the spot transaction, 2 days beyond the spot transaction is a forward transaction. So, settlement takes place beyond 2 days after the spot. So, it is a forward transaction. Foreign currency forward market, it is a unorganized market and it is a over the counter market. Unorganized in the sense that all authorized dealers are allowed to provide quote for forward transaction. So, different authorized dealer will give different quote for different same maturity profile, same currency wise forward transaction. So, it is not a standardized market because there is no requirement for $10,000, $15,000, any amount of dollar, any amount of foreign currency you can get a quote and the price are not standardized in nature. Pricing, size, delivery date, it is customized as per the requirement of the exporter or importer. And in this process the authorized dealer provide what is called some kind of leverage. The leverage or the freedom available to authorized dealer in deciding the price of the forward contract, in deciding the forward charges, commission income and also the delivery or the customized product depends upon the requirement of the exporter importer. So, since we are handling the forward contract beyond the spot date, that may be currency may appreciate or depreciate. If the currency appreciation depreciation take care through the premium or discount. As we discussed earlier session, forward exchange rate is nothing but spot rate plus forward premium or discount. So, forward premium and discount is decided through interest rate differential. Interest rate differential between two currency or two country that define the forward rate or forward point. If the currency is a appreciating currency, so that it will get what is called a forward premium. A currency depreciating currency, it get forward discount. So, currency, if the currency is appreciating, it is a premium currency, the currency is depreciating, it is a discount currency. In a direct quote, quotation is direct. So, that where direct quotation means the foreign home currency vary, foreign currency remain constant, the premium is added for depreciating currency and it is deducted for appreciating currency. So, forward contract we discussed earlier session in detail how the forward rates are decided. So, here we are using this forward rate for transaction exposure management side. Transaction exposure takes place because the foreign currency either in the form of import or in the form of export, settlement takes place beyond the spot rate, and beyond the spot rate settlement taking place, and if there may be any fluctuation of currency value, and this currency fluctuation creates transaction exposure. To manage this transaction exposure, forward contract are more suitable in nature. Forward contract, your exporter importer can customize the forward contract as per their requirement. Authorized dealer generally provide the forward quotation beyond 2 days up to 9 months at 1 year also. So, in this process forward contract is a suitable product for management of transaction exposure. Let us discuss about how the forward contract take place, what is the rule of the authorized dealer and also what is the rule of the customer here. Forward contract involves two parties here, one party is authorized dealer, another party is the party who is a customer here, the customer be exporter or importer. So, the both party authorized dealer and customer sign a forward contract. Forward contract they sign for what? They sign for two things, that may be what is called either they buy or sell forward contract. The contract designing takes place, forward contract designing, the contract either a buy contract, buy or sell forward contract, sell forward contract. In this process they decide about the two party decide what? They decide about first thing the price of the forward contract, second thing size of the forward contract, that is volume, the currency amount, then also they decide settlement period, they decide about the specified amount, the contract available settlement period, settlement date, the maturity of the forward contract, and also in this process that the authorized dealer charge a commission or a transaction fee. So, what they are deciding? Two parties are, the parties are here the authorized dealer who deals foreign currency and the customers. The customer, they decide about what? They decide about the price of the forward contract, they decide about the size of the forward contract, they also decide about the settlement date, the maturity of the forward contract. On this basis they sign agreement, the forward contract agreement signed between the two party. Generally this forward contract agreement are OTC, over the counter agreement, and it through a telephonic discussion they agree for the forward contract. All forward contract take place to OTC market, over the counter through telephone, and in this process the authorized dealer charge a commission or a transaction fee, which is nothing but a profit for the authorized dealer. And it may in between the forward contract, till the forward contract is not mature, that may not be any cash transaction. Only transaction may take place some kind of margin money, but cash transaction may not take place. If the contract size is very small in nature, minute level, the authorized dealer may not charge any kind of margin money before the maturity of the contract. If the contract size is very large, the authorized dealer may ask the corporate or ask the customer to provide some margin money in the form of a cash payment. So, generally authorized dealer, if the party is a customer to the bank, the authorized dealer do not charge any kind of cash payment before the maturity of the forward contract. So, forward contract are over the counter OTC product, it is a unstandardized, unorganized market, the products are not standardized in nature, prices are different for different authorized dealer, the volume and size or the requirement depends upon the customized as per the requirement of the customer. So, generally the forward contract market is unorganized OTC market. So, while to discuss about the forward contract, you have to do a problem, because there is no such kind of requirements are there for designing a forward contract. The requirements depends upon the customer's requirement. The customer is importer, a small party, the forward contract is easily available. The customer is importer, a very big party, he can go from one authorized dealer to another authorized dealer and get the best quote for his own payment. So, to understand the process of calculation of forward contract, let us do a problem. The problem will help us in understanding the calculation side, estimation of forward rate and the delivery of the forward rate, calculation of forward premium side or forward discount side, and how you can use this forward contract for management of transaction exposure. Let us do a problem. A company in India has shipped product to USA amounting to $50,000 payable after 3 months. Spot rate on the date of shipment is 535050 and 5100. Since the cash settlement will take place after 3 months, the open position of 50,000 US dollar is a transaction risk for the company. The company asks for a forward quotation to a bank for hedging the risks. The bank has given following information about the forward market. The spot rate per dollar is 535050 and 535100. 3 month forward rate, that is forward point 2530. Using the above information, prepare the hedging strategy for the company. If INR after 3 months available at 536050, then estimate the transaction loss or profit. In this problem, what are given to us? To understand this, let us do the problem. Here a company in India exported some item to the USA. It is an exporter, the company is an exporter. The amount of export amount is US dollar 50,000. How much exported? 50,000 US dollar, and payment is due. Payment due after 3 months. What does it mean? It means after 3 months $50,000 will be received by the Indian company. So, in between there may be anything happen. So, at the date of shipment the spot rate was USD spot is 535050 and 535100. The date of shipment the US dollar rate was 535050 and 53511. Since the exporter is exporting and getting US dollar, he needs to convert the US dollar Indian rupee, will be getting 535050. If the date of shipment he is getting the dollar, then he will be getting 535050. Now, after 3 months he is getting, so this rate may not valid. After 3 months, what will be the rate spot rate? We do not know. If it is more than 53 rupee depreciate, then Indian company will get more rupee. If rupee appreciate, Indian company will get less rupee, and there is a transaction risk involved here. The transaction risk is the fluctuation of US dollar against rupee or a rupee against the US dollar, that is a transaction risk. The transaction risk spread over 3 months. So, within 3 months anything can happen. So, there is a transaction exposure for the Indian company. So, Indian company now has gone to the authorized dealer, to a bank, asks for a quote for the US dollar against rupee for delivery on after 3 months, and in between the information available to the bank is that spot rate is this, and 3 month the 3 month exposure, 3 month forward points or forward rate is rupee dollar is 25 and 300, 3 month forward premium. Since we discussed earlier sessions, here it is nothing but 2500 or 3000 is nothing but forward points. If the second point 3000 is more than 2500, it means that rupee is depreciating and dollar is appreciating. It means that after 3 months the 535050 may depreciate, and it may be depreciation may be anything, but forward point indicate the depreciation is 300. 2500 and 3000 points. So, now this information given to the bank, given to the authorized dealer by the bank, and in this process also the problem has given to you some other indication. The indication is here, if you see go through that, if INR after 3 months available at 536050, then estimate the transaction loss or profit. So, suppose the INR, that is Indian rupee, after 3 months is available as US dollar 1 will be 53.6050, then whether it is a transaction loss or transaction profit is there, you have to estimate the payoff. So, now what you are supposed to do? You have to first calculate what is the forward rate after 3 months, and in this between after 3 months if we receive $50,000, what is the rupee equivalent of this $50,000 using the forward rate to calculate. Then you have to compare this rupee conversion of forward rate to rupee conversion of given spot, that is 536050, and then you will decide whether the transaction loss or transaction profit is there for the company. Let us do the problem. Now, after 3 months you have to calculate the forward rate for 3 months. Now, current spot rate is 535050, because here the exporter is surrendering dollar, he will convert the dollar into Indian rupee, the authorized dealer will provide less amount to him. This current spot is 535050 for the applicable spot for here for the exporter. Now, the forward point here, forward point if you see the forward point earlier, the forward point we have discussed the 2500, if you see 2500 3000. So, the 2500 3000 means rupee is depreciating, dollar is appreciating. So, in rupee you have to add a depreciating currency, the forward premiums are added. So, you have to add the forward premium, that is 2500. The forward rate, on this basis we will get forward rate which is applicable after 3 months, that is 53.7550. After 3 months the rupee will be available in the market 7500. Now, on this rate given by the forward authorized dealer to the exporter. Now, when exporter surrender $50,000, he will convert at this rate. Now, what is the rupee equivalent? Rupee equivalent 53.7550 into $50,000. The rupee equivalent will be, you have to calculate rupee equivalent, that is rupee equivalent something around 2 lakh, rupee amount will be 2,68,750. So, this is the rupee equivalent at forward rate of 53.7750, but we have given a rate, that is if rupee remains at after 3 months rupee remains at 53.500, that is 53.6050, is there any transaction loss or profit. Now, using this rate you can calculate rupee equivalent. The rupee equivalent of this will be, you have to calculate again the 53, here rupee equivalent is 53.6050 into 50,000, that amount is how much? The amount will be something around available to us, you have to estimate this, and from here you have to deduct this amount, then actual amount the surplus will be 7,500. If you estimate this from here, multiply this and multiply this, by going for a forward contract, the company is getting a surplus of 7,500 rupees. If he does not go for the forward contract, rupee may end at 536050 and will get 50,000 of that, there will be loss for him. If you go for a forward contract, you will get a extra profit of 7,500, and in this process the transaction loss will be there if the customer of the company is not going for forward contract agreement. So, this is one way you analyze the forward contract. Same thing I have done it here in the solution. If you see, here the 3-month forward contract 535050 plus the forward premium, I added here 537500. On this 537500 is a available quote to the customer after 3 months. If rupee appreciate depreciate, it does not matter for him. So, 537500 he will convert the $50,000, then when he convert the $15,000 he will be getting 2687750, and if he, this is the amount rupee amount available to him, but suppose his rupee depreciated to 536050, then he will be, the company would gain 7500%, because here he is getting 537500 by going for a forward contract. Without going for a forward contract, he is getting 536050, which is less for him. So, in this process, by going for a forward contract, the customer is gaining from the process. Because this is a general forward contract, there is no cross currencies involved here. Suppose there is a cross currency conversion, then how the forward contract take place? In this process, we will understand the cross currency conversion, because it may happen that the currencies are conversion may not be available in a particular domestic market. The authorized dealer may go for one market to another market, one international market to another international market to get a forward quote in a cross currency manner. The cross currency forward rate, how their calculation take place, and how you can use the cross currency conversion rate for the forward contract agreement side. Let us go for a forward contract agreement in case of cross currency. In the example is here, an Indian garment exporter will be receiving pound sterling in September 30th, that is after 1 month from the current spot date. That today it is August, in September, suppose today this month is August, he is receiving pound sterling in September, end of September. So, he wanted to book a forward sale contract for pound sterling against Indian rupee. Why is wanted to book? Because within the 1 month the pound sterling may appreciate, depreciate against rupee, we do not know, and what will be the conversion rate of rupee against pound sterling, we do not know. So, there is a transaction exposure for the garment exporter. For that reason, he is going for a forward contract. If the exchange rate as on 1st August are as follows, what rate the bank would quote to him? In the Mumbai interbank market, spot rate dollar against rupee is given to you, this is a dollar against rupee, and forward point August, September given, October given to you. In the London market, spot rate pound sterling and dollar is given to you, and similarly the forward points are given to us. What you have to do? You have to go for a forward rate calculation site, where pound sterling, rupee and US dollar, 3 currency involved, we have to estimate through cross currency forward rate. And in this process, what is the calculation site for us? The quote here, as we discussed earlier classes, you have to go for what is called a cross currency forward agreement. So, the exporter is surrendering what? The Indian exporter, garment exporter surrendering us pound sterling. The pound sterling will be coming to us in the month of September 30th, that is within 1 month till there. So, the beyond 2 days, so it is a forward rate. So, pound sterling, the pound sterling will be sold in Indian will be sold in London market, and we will be getting US dollar. The step 1. Second step, US dollar will be sold in Mumbai market, and we will be getting INR or Indian rupee, and all these transactions take place after 1 month, not now. So, there is a cross currency forward rate. Here is a dollar pound sterling to dollar, there is a forward rate, and dollar to Indian rupee there is a forward rate. So, both sides you have to estimate the forward rate, and finally, you have to quote the conversion of pound sterling to Indian rupee. So, this is the way of doing the problem. Now, how you to proceed for that? You have to proceed in a some systematic way. First, you have to sold pound sterling in Indian US London market. So, when you sold pound sterling in London market, what will be the applicable spot rate for us? Your spot rate, you have to see that London market spot rate applicable spot, because we are surrendering pound sterling. The applicable spot will be, when you surrender pound sterling, you will get the US dollar, but how much you will get? Less amount you will get. So, the applicable spot of US dollar 1.6184, that is the applicable spot, you will get less. So, US dollar 1.6184 is the rate, but this will happen when? September 30th. We are now in August. So, you have to add that September 30th premium. So, September 30th premium or dollar. So, if you see September month premium or discount, if you 34, 37, 32, that is a dollar is appreciating. So, you have to deduct that discount. Here premium you need to deduct 0.334. So, that then you will get 1.615. Here dollar is appreciating against pound. So, you will be getting less amount in September. Then after getting the dollar, you have to sell the dollar in London Indian Bombay market. So, in Bombay interbank market, you are selling dollar. So, you will get less amount of rupee. So, applicable spot rate will be 53.5050. If you see rupee in September month is appreciating 52.55. So, you have to add the forward discount. So, 50 is added here. So, the forward after during the month of September, that rupee dollar exchange rate will be 53.5500, 550. So, rupee is depreciating, premium is added here. So, $1 pound sterling will be $1.6150 and $1 will be 53.5560, both are forward now. Now, conversion will be just a cross currency conversion. So, 1 pound sterling will be $1.6150 and $1 will be 53.5550. So, multiplication of this will get 1 pound sterling will be 864913 rupee. This is called cross currency forward rate. For 1 pound sterling, the rupee conversion will be 86.413. The authorized dealer will quote this 86.4913 per pound during the month of September, and that will be the cross currency forward calculation. So, what are the forward rate problem? Forward rate has a lot of problems are there forward contract, because it may happen that credit risk will be there very high. Why credit risk will very high? Because the authorized dealer may not adhere to the contract. It may suppose there is significant appreciation, depreciations are there, authorized dealer may not be in a position to adhere to the forward contract. So, there is a credit risk for the authorized in case of forward contract. A forward contract are not mark to market, because they will once you sign the contract, it is a OTC product. Forward contracts are not marked to market. Once you sign the contract, you cannot go out from here. There is no market to buy and sell this contract further. So, there is no mark to market, it will create illiquidity for the forward contract, and so it will create illiquidity for the forward contract both sides, for the authorized dealer side or the customer side is a problem, and only the customer can go out of the forward contract by cancelling it, by paying a cancellation charges for that. Then it is not a standardized product, it is OTC mark, different authorized dealers are giving different quotation, and there is not a standardized in case standardization in the form of size, in the form of volume, in the form of pricing. So, it is not it creates some problem, because the different rates are available for different authorized dealer. There is no liquidity. Liquidity is possible in forward contract only by cancelling it. There is no secondary market for forward contract, since it is a OTC product. And in case of there is no transparency, because which authorized dealer charging what kind of prices, nobody knows that. So, there is no such kind of secondary market, such kind of exchange which can provide the quotation for the forward contract. So, the transparency is very less in forward contract. Then difficult to exit, there is no secondary market, you cannot go out of the forward contract without cancelling it. Once you cancel it, you have to pay heavy fee, cancellation charges for that reason. And forward contract is very useful, because one of the reason forward contract is very useful is customized product. There is no such kind of market which can give you customized product. Other products are available in the market, it is a future is a standardized product, it is not customized to the requirement of the customer. So, forward contract, despite having all disadvantage, there is a requirement of forward contract in the market also. The model question here, you write in brief forward contract as a product for management of transaction exposure, outline various problems of forward contract, whatever discussed with forward contract problems are there, you outline that. Multiple choice questions are given to you here. Foreign currency forward market is an over the counter unorganized market, organized listed market, and 2 and 3, that is B and C, which one is correct. Here foreign currency forward market is an over the counter unorganized market. Forward premium differential depends upon currency fluctuation, interest rate differential between two countries, demand and supply of two currency, and stock market return. As we discussed earlier, forward premium differential depends upon the interest rate differential between two countries. Number third, if the transaction exposures are in different dates, then it can be hedged by purchasing single forward contract, by purchasing multiple forward contract, cannot be hedged by forward contract, none of the above. In transaction exposures are in different dates, you have to go by purchasing multiple forward contract, because forward contracts have a maturity, each maturity of transaction exposure you have to purchase a forward contract. Here by purchasing multiple forward contract only you can hedge transaction exposure in different dates. Thank you.